Hello, you're listening to the Saluki Gamescast. This is episode 138 for Wednesday, March the 4th, 2026. My name is Justin Young. Joining me, as always, is Mario Sanders. And Mario, it appears you brought a guest with you this week.
I did, yeah. There's somebody who is, you know, they come around every once in a while.
I try.
Christina Ivey.
Hi.
Happy to have you back on the show.
Mm-hmm.
How have the two of you been? I guess the big thing to talk about is Christina sitting over there with a stack of posters for your combined show.
Yeah, we just happened to also be doing our separate shows together, which is confusing.
Separate together?
Yeah. Basically, that's me and Mario.
So tell us a little bit about what these shows are. When is the big separate but together production?
So the dates are March 26th, 27th, 28th at the Kleinau, starting at 7. Mario show will be first, and then mine. Do you want to talk about yours first, or would you like me to talk about mine first?
Sure, I can talk about my show.
Yeah.
The title of my show is called Work Shoot, and that is connects to just these ideas around wrestling of what gets thought of as the fictional or worked elements of the show, and then how that connects to the real or the shoot elements of the professional wrestlers' lives and all that, and putting that into the context of grief and the ways that we perform that, expectations around masculinity and grief as it connects to my experience after my dad's death.
And work shoot are wrestling terms, carny sort of terms, right? So for anyone hearing this, he's not just making up terminology. That's where this comes from.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I saw the title of it, I was like, you know what? I don't know what that means, but I trust Mario. So
it's the coolest Michael Bay film you've never seen.
Work shoot.
Yeah, I kind of assume there are people who probably won't, but that's okay. I'll explain it early on in the show.
Yeah.
All right, Christina.
And then my show following that is Saints, Witches, and Mad Women, which basically tracks the same behaviors, historically primarily done by women, and how through different historical contexts they help to label women differently. So, like crying all the time and holding up with your cat and reading books. Some of those women were called saints. Fast forward a few years, and then those women were called witches. Fast forward a few years, take the mysticism out of it, and those women were purposely committed against their own will. And mine parallels my grief with my dead mom and how I viewed her differently throughout my life based on our own personal historical context. So it's going to be a dead parent show. Prepare yourself now.
Maybe not the best sales pitch.
Listen, some people I think will come just for that. There we go.
No, I mean, I think it'll be really interesting. And the two of you have been working on these for quite a while. But it is a difficult, like, that summation is maybe a difficult sales pitch.
Okay, fair.
Don't let that be your elevator pitch.
Oh no, that's why it was the last thing I said, because I also want grief is one of those things that's I think people should be exposed to people grieving. I think it's good for Mario and I to grieve publicly about these things. And also, I want people to know a little bit about what they're walking into.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I also I think that it is sometimes very useful to know that you're not alone in your grief and the ways that manifests.
For sure.
And I think oftentimes when people are new to grief, right? Like they feel like they're weird, they're odd. and it's sometimes, there's a reason people like sad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
For sure.
There's a sort of catharsis.
Yeah. Mine includes somebody else is in the show with me, and it's given us a chance. She's actually helping me write the scenes that we're in together, because she has similar issues with her mom, and she's older. She's like 60, I think, 61. And so she's had longer to kind of unpack what all that is. And so it's been really good for the two of us that even though we didn't have the same mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've have similar enough issues, and she's worked through hers that it's been really nice to talk to somebody else about some of these things. So,
all right. Well, again, that is the weekend of the 27th. Mm-hmm. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's $7.
Community is $7, students are $5. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you've never been to a Klein House show, this is a good one to start with.
I think so.
Klein House shows are really interesting, and I always encourage students to go check them out. It's cool to go to one.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't like it, just go and experience it once.
Yeah, they're always. I don't want to use the word weird because again, negative connotation. But they're different. It's not like going to shows even in the theater department.
Sure.
It's they're typically a little more experimental. So that's
very personal usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. For me, I have no shows coming up. You can come see my show with my two cats, and as they wrestle one another. They put on a nightly show for me, at least. It's quite entertaining. But no, I will be there for your guys' show. I'm very excited to see it. I will be waiting backstage with a steel chair to smack both of you. But yeah, so it's cool. So check that out and everything. You can look for Klein Out on Facebook. There's an event listed for it and everything. They'll have the details. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and move into what we've been playing, because we have a lot to get through this week. Christina, you have not been here in a while. Maybe you have played something in that time?
I have, but honestly, it's the same thing I talked about last time. When I get
Dead by Daylight.
Actually,
DBD?
I haven't been playing DBD. I've been watching people play it. Last time I talked about re-downloading the Division 2.
Sure.
And for my birthday, I was like, you know what? I had the Warlords of New York on my PC, which is the big DLC that they added to it. So I re-downloaded that, and then I also downloaded the new Brooklyn chapter. And so basically, even though it's been a while since I've been here, I've been playing the same game. So I've gone from just a few hours into it to a few days worth of playtime. They also have a new, what they're calling realism mode, that they just launched yesterday with the new update, which is basically it's more realistic. So now the type of gear that I wear, I continuously get shot and it's fine because my armor regenerates. But the new realism mode means that the people that you're fighting against are more deadly, right? Or a shot or two and you're dead, but they are also more fragile. And so I have not wanted to play that because I'm I built this I built this for a reason. I want to not care if things are shooting at me.
Right.
So I've not played it or anything, but I just thought that it was cool that they created that mode.
That is interesting for a game that has been, built and balanced around being a sort of sponge shooter, right? Where you're often shooting a guy 20, 30 times to take him down, to suddenly introduce a realism mode into that.
Yep.
Because it's not as simple as changing a variable, which sounds like what they're doing. The whole game has to kind of be built around that, right?
Exactly.
So that is kind of interesting. I actually picked up Division 1 and 2 on Steam.
Oh, nice.
because I had them on the Ubisoft store.
Yeah.
And then on Steam, I don't know, last week they had a Ubisoft sale and they were like $2 a piece.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just going to pick them up.
Yeah. And if you only have $2 and do not have 4, I highly recommend Division 2 over Division 1. Just because.
Hey, big spender.
Yeah. Listen. Some people who are listening to this may be college students, so I get it.
If you need that Mac muffin, you can only buy
If
one.
you're in the 1% and you can afford both of these games.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am bringing my hoity-toity likeness to this podcast. I can afford $4. I may come to your show, but I expect a box seat.
We'll make a box just specifically for you. They'd be like, "This is just
Put the cardboard box.
Yeah. And have like a bottle of like Coke Zero and some popcorn right there for you."
Has my name like, cut out cardboard letters.
Yeah.
Then I really would be worried what will happen to me during the show. I feel like I'm way too much part of this show.
There's enough time to do some rewrites.
Yeah.
I'm worried Mario has found my steel chair backstage.
Yeah. He calls you out. Yeah, depending on what day you come, you get to see Justin and Mario wrestle with me refereeing.
I was promised the two of you would wrestle during the show.
Yeah, okay, so that's it. You should come every night. Spend your McMuffin money.
It's only gonna happen one of the nights. So it could happen on the night that you specifically don't attend.
Yep.
But yeah.
You come Thursday, doesn't happen, better come Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come Friday, doesn't happen, better come Saturday.
Yep.
Come Saturday, doesn't happen.
You missed the
You might have just blinked or
Yeah.
something.
You probably missed it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, those expansions, it's really interesting to me with the Division because they canceled the one game, right?
Right.
Was it Homeland?
something like that. They didn't have it fully titled when
Right.
I did the thing. So, yeah.
But they are supposedly working on a new game now. And I think it's really interesting with those games because those are secretly like very successful games. Like they don't get talked about a lot, I don't feel like, but they have, them still putting out new DLC is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
After all this time.
They just had their 10-year reunion. Well, I know from the Division 1, but yeah.
Those are part of the Tom Clancy universe.
Yeah. And I haven't been super interested in the other Tom Clancy ones. I don't know why this one. Probably because I played it with somebody who liked it first.
They're also pretty different.
Yeah.
In terms of like, this is more of like that looter shooter. I've never played any of them, but this is like that like looter shooter, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I guess the only other one I've really played is like the Ghost Recon games, which are more, I don't even know how you describe
Rainbow
them.
Six Siege is same.
Oh,
Like
okay.
those two games are closer, and it's not. This is like I'm lazy, and I don't want to battle anyone that's gonna tear me apart. I want to loot for the type of armor where it just regenerates and I'm all powerful.
Because you're mostly battling NPCs. You're not battling
Yeah.
other players.
Exactly. And they do have the mode where you can battle other people. I just don't want
Right.
to. And yeah,
It's sort of like Diablo.
yeah,
yeah.
honestly. I think that's why both of those games interest me is because, yeah, I can work on my build to make the game as easy or as hard as I want, basically. But I like Dead by Daylight. I like how they keep adding things in. So even they had a Valentine's Day thing where it was like the bleeding hearts stuff where your special weapons, you would throw it out and it would release hearts in the air, which would still kill your enemy. But like I don't know, it's just like fun little stuff like that honestly is great for me. My favorite thing to do in the game is to loot for clothes. And put different outfits. So
This is the Division?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not Barbie's dress up factory.
Well,
I understand the confusion.
You were talking about DVDs, and I was
yeah,
like, I don't know if we're talking about the bleeding heart is in that game or in this game.
No,
I like when I can put Freddy Krueger in a very nice sweater vest.
Yeah, Christina
would love
spent
that.
another week just watching her freaking DVDs, I guess. She doesn't ever talk about games on this podcast.
Never. But yeah, it has sucked all, and luckily I'm at the end of now all of the new stuff. I was able to play through it pretty quickly just because, again, I've played through it before, and so I'm at the end of it, which is good because I kind of need my life back.
Christine, sorry. I was going to say, Christina and I actually we wrote a paper, but we presented on a paper together.
Yeah. We should write it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where she had written about the division. So the fact that you're back to it makes me feel like, well, maybe we should do something with that at some point.
Yeah, it was like, what was it? Playing through a pandemic. Because both games we had played, we played during COVID.
Was it The Last of Us?
No, for Christina, it was the division. For me, it was Virtue's Last Reward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking in your game.
Yeah.
So, Christine, let me ask you, as a big Division fan, right? Like, I feel like the gaming landscape has shifted a lot. You know, like the Division to me feels like an early live service game.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's sort of, we mentioned Diablo, it's sort of in that area of, you know, I don't know, Diablo 3, right? And still kind of that setup and everything.
Sure.
But like when they make a Division 3, whatever they call the next Division game, it feels like that's going to go harder in that live service direction.
Yeah.
Like, what would you want in a Division 3? Now that you've played a lot, you've played the canceled one that they were working on, like, where would you like to see, like, what changes would you like to see? Or maybe none.
I was about to say, I really like it as it is. I just want a new location. I want more of the same, which is probably not super helpful. And I also know that I'm not necessarily their goal demographic necessarily. In terms of like live service stuff,
I think you are in that you play a ton of it.
I mean, that's fair. And that's why my friend and I got invited to do that, to play that game, is because we did not fit the demographics that normally play the game, and yet we sink a lot of hours into it.
Sure.
And in terms of like the live service stuff, that I don't really play that a lot, and so I think they do some cool stuff. Like they have the clans where you can be your friend group can have like a name, and you can compete in the weekly things against other clans, and like they'll put your banner in the room that's like the clan room or whatever. And I just don't really do that a whole lot.
Sure.
So I like the storylines that they have. I think sometimes they're real cheesy, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this is really creative. It almost got to with Division 2, it almost got to like a Dragon Ball Z moment, and I say that because it's like every time you think they've reached
because Goku showed up.
Yeah, exactly. Goku shows up and then blows everything right now. But it was like every time you think they've reached the height of the power or the height of the evil, they become a Super Saiyan, right? Like something else is introduced, which is okay for a little while, but if it after a while, it's
the Buffy problem.
Yes, exactly.
Like at some point you fight a god, and it's like, well, where do you go from there?
Exactly. So it did get a little bit in that direction, but to me, that just means that they should change locations and vary up the storyline.
Yeah.
But
do you want to? You were talking about liking the costumes and stuff, and dressing up the character. Like, would you want to see more customizability of your character?
They actually, so going back and replaying the Division, it's they added a bunch more. So yeah, just doing like Diablo, I can make. There's so many things that I can do to change the look of that character. Like, so if they start to go in that direction, I'm not going to be upset. But I also like. I had to have a moment. I was like, my partner Leah came over and I was like, listen, I'm itching. I need division time. Let me do one campaign. And she's like, okay, fine. So I turned on the game and she's like, oh, it's like you with a gun. So I was able to make the character look somewhat like me.
Yeah.
It's more like, again, in my very like queer brain, it's very like, yes, I'm playing a shoot 'em up game, right? But I'm in it for the clothes. So
it's Princess Peach with guns.
Exactly. That's my dream game. That, and if you add a horror element to it, I'm in. I will never play another game ever. Yeah.
So if it goes, say, the Fortnite route, and in Division 3, you can buy literally a skin of Goku or Beavis and Butthead or Cheech and Chong.
That'd be great.
Like, I mean, is that great to you, or is that that? No, that's ruining the immersion of this story.
I think that ruins the immersion of that because, like, in Fortnite, I play a little cat in a human suit. Yeah. So my character is a cat in a human suit that shoots things. Yeah. And I think that fits Fortnite. I don't know. I don't think the Division would ever go that direction just because of the Tom Clancy. And it's like the people that, I don't know, like those games tend to take them very seriously.
Right.
And so I think some of those people would even turn their nose up at Fortnite, maybe.
Right.
But yeah, I just they do have some fun stuff. Like they had a sports line that they did where you could dress up as whatever. They made up a bunch of sports teams, obviously, for it. But you could dress up, or you could buy the outfit for your favorite sports team, and it's like a basketball shorts and a cap basically for a lot of them. But yeah.
No, I just ask because I know that's one of the issues that a lot of games have run into. Like Halo has run into that issue, right? Like, how do you support Halo multiplayer in this day and age where the expectation is you're going to be able, you can't sell levels, so you have to sell customizability of the character. And Halo's too serious of a world, right? Like having Goku run around shooting Master Chief doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Right? So then you're selling customizable armor within the Halo universe, which, I think the Division can get around a little better because it's this post-apocalyptic America, and so you can sell fashion.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, at some point, like, how do you go too far with that? And so I'm very intrigued by how games are going to work around this because I feel like every game wants to be Fortnite, but not every game makes sense being a Fortnite.
Yeah. I really like the stuff that they've added, the expansion packs. They have like a manhunt thing where you're like going in search of these people that have been issues, and that was fun to play through because like I had stopped playing Division around Manhunt 2. And so when I came back to it, it had added like probably 6 to 8 more.
Sure.
So that was fun, but yeah, it definitely wouldn't work well with a Fortnite cover, I don't think.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
All right, Mario, what have you been playing?
I haven't really played much this week. The one thing I really only played was a demo for a new game that's coming out at some point called Croak. Justin, you actually had messaged that I should check it out. And so I did, and it's, you call it like a precision platformer, in which you control this little frog and you have different movement abilities to navigate the like danger of the terrain. And it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think my one thing, and it, again, I mentioned this, I think last week when I talked about Love Eternal, I think it's a little unfair to try and compare things to Celeste because Celeste is like, it's my favorite game of all time, but generally speaking, I think it's just like one of the best games of all time, like more like objectively as well. Like I don't think it would be a surprise to see it on some of those best games of all time list. And so like I don't I don't want to compare it to Celeste, but I'm going to anyways. I think
it very much invites that comparison.
Yeah.
Like the level layout, the
yes.
gameplay mechanics for the most part.
Yeah. I think most of those precision platformers are probably using Celeste as their foundation at this point. I think my only, and this isn't really much of a critique, but it's the one thing that I feel like I notice in a lot of these games is they try to do a little too much with the movement. And this game doesn't even do that. Like, it's not like, here's 30 different ways that you can move and navigate. But it's still like 3. And I'm just like, you only need 1. You only need 1. Just like, and so that to me is, like I said, I will probably buy this game. I didn't 100% the demo, but I got pretty close. But so for this game, like I said, I think you have like 3 kinds of movement where you can like shoot your tongue out, and that will sort of what's a grappling hook you to a wall. And then there's like 2 ways that you move off of that. Either you hold one of the directions, you hold the direction towards the wall and it lets you get like a second little jump, or you don't, and it sort of pinballs you to the other side of the screen. So you like bounce off of the wall. And I think that's one of those, this is one of those things where I wish rather than holding the button versus not holding the button, they just had a different button, because it's one of those things where there are instances where it feels like, I guess I held it for a fraction of a second too long. I thought I had held it, or I thought I had let go of it. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I feel like I don't know how to phrase this. There are enough ways where you can recognize, okay, I am at fault for this, but it just still doesn't feel good. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Justin, I know you played the demo as well, so I'm going to, what your thoughts were.
Well, I'm both sort of happy and also sad that you had the exact same experience as me. So I'm kind of happy that like, oh, this is not just me like being bad at this. I feel like that mechanic that you're talking about of bouncing off the wall or kind of like being drawn against it, and like how long am I holding the button? I feel like I wasn't triggering the one I wanted a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And so that led to frustration.
Yeah.
Which, as I think we've talked about before on this podcast, like one of the things that Celeste does really well, one of the reasons that game is so good and people like speak so well of it, is that game can be frustrating, but you're always frustrated at yourself. You're almost never frustrated at the game, because when you fell at Celeste, you know it's always your fault. Mm-hmm. This game, I did not feel like it was my fault a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And like it probably was technically my fault, but I feel like it's my fault because the controls are clumsy.
And I would agree with that. And I think the thing that made it particularly frustrating was, so this game has like, you get different medals for each of the levels. There's like a time medal that you get if you beat it in a certain amount of time. There's a deaths medal if you beat it with as few deaths as possible. And then there's other like little collectibles like the strawberries in Celeste. And the gold medal, at least on the 3 levels that I played, 4 levels I guess that I played, the gold medal for the deaths is 0 deaths. Oh. And so you beat the entire level deathless. And there were multiple instances where I died one time in the level, and it was because my bounce just didn't go far enough, or I didn't let go in the proper fraction of a second, or I held it just a fraction of a second too long. And that, like, again, I think Justin is right. Like, I can ultimately turn that back on me of just like, I'm not doing the right thing for the game. And I understand that like that is meant to be the most difficult challenge that the game is like asking you to do to beat this level deathless. Yeah. But that just adds a level of frustration that, like I said, just doesn't feel good. I mean, and I know that that's subjective, but that was my feeling, was like, I think this game is good and I will probably still get it at some point. I think the other thing for me, and who knows, this is just the demo, right? Like the one thing that also just like launches Celeste so high is the story. And this didn't really indicate that there's much of a story, at least, like I said, for the demo. Maybe there will be, but so I won't hold that against it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't pitch really any story. So, like, I think maybe it is there, right? Like, we should hold back judgment on that quite yet. But, like, I think you're right. Like, that's what sells. That's a big part of what sells this type of game. And with no idea, is that going to be there or not, it's kind of hard to say, I don't know how good this is going to be.
Well, and especially, like I said, comparing it, maybe not to Celeste, but to the game I talked about last week, Love Eternal, which is another one of those precision platformers, right? That takes this horror narrative,
right?
And like works with that genre as well. I think that's the thing, right? That's the thing about Celeste, is it takes this story and it pairs it really well with this difficult precision platformer.
Right.
Love Eternal is taking this horror narrative and, it's working with it, like it speaks back to the genre in particular ways. And so it's possible that this game will do that. If it doesn't do that, I would leave a little disappointed. I don't think it's necessary, but I do think doing that takes a good game and makes it a great game.
Yeah, the struggle in Celeste is part of the story.
Absolutely.
Like, you dying over and over again is part of the story, and not in a contrived sort of, you're getting regenerated each time, like in a way that fits with the narrative of the story, like both
it asks you to embrace that struggle.
Like both the literal narrative of climbing the mountain, but also like the bigger sort of meta narrative of the story, right? About internal struggle,
mental health and all that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think this game looks really nice.
Oh yeah, it's got a great art style.
Yeah, like it's very well animated, and like that was part of what appealed to me when I picked it up. I was like, oh, it's another one of these, but it's a really nice looking one of these.
I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Oh no, I was just going to say, but I think the gameplay, like the controls, really frustrated me.
Did you, on like screen transitions, get any like stuttering or like weird stuttering as you were moving across the screen, and like the visuals?
Yeah, I think I did at one point, but like I don't remember it being a constant issue.
Okay, I got it a little bit. I don't think that's much of a criticism. It's a demo. Like, they're still working on the game.
Sure.
I know that will. But I think that was another one of those things. Like, as I'm trying to speed run the level, beat it as fast as possible, and beat it deathless, having these like little glitchy moments, or these little, like, even just like half a second of lag can like affect that so much. And so
I will say the restart of the level was almost instantaneous, which is what I feel like a game like this needs.
Sure.
Right. But I can see that.
But yeah, like, I mean, that's not a real criticism. Like I said, it's in demo. I'm sure they're still working on it, and hopefully they'll notice those as well. Unless it's, it's possible it was just me, but yeah, like I said,
I think if that's in the final game, that's a completely valid criticism.
Oh, I would agree with that. But overall, like I said, I thought it was fun. I'll be interested and keep an eye on it as it comes out. That is the only thing that I really played, but as I've talked about in past years, I guess at this point now, March is always the month that I do my little friend event where I put together the list of games that we play. I ended up delaying that to April because March is so busy for me this year, but I do have the list of games, and I think it's a pretty good list. I'm going to read off this list. So it is Bugdom, which is, if you grew up with a Mac, that was one of the like pack-in games where you played as like a little roly-poly. One is Gunman's Proof, which was a Japanese-only release on the Super Nintendo. One of them, the finale game, is Hello Kitty Roller Rescue on the GameCube. One of them is Lilo and Stitch on the Game Boy Advance, which is the Metal Collection, because Lilo is a stealth part of the game, so it's Metal Gear Solid, whereas Stitch is a run and gun, so it's Metal Slug. So that is truly the we have Metal Gear Solid, or we have Metal Slug at home. Luigi's Mansion, that's just classic.
Yeah.
Muppet Monster Adventure, because every year there has to be a frog game, and so Kermit is our frog game for this year. Nanosaur, which was another one of those Mac pack-in games. You play as a dinosaur from like the year 4000, and you have to go back in time and rescue the dinosaur eggs before the meteor hits.
Wait. How are you a dinosaur in the year 4000 having to rescue the dinosaurs from the past?
You have to play the game to find out.
Does the game address
maybe
this in its story?
I don't know. It's been like 20 years since I played it.
Are you a dinosaur that gets knocked out of time?
Maybe that's what it is. But you do. You're a dinosaur with a laser beam. This is what Freddie Mercury was talking about in Killer Queen. That's what that line is for sure. Not dynamite with a laser beam. It's a dinosaur with a laser beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just you've misunderstood that lyric all these years.
Yeah.
It was a typo on the liner notes. Sin and
This
Punishment.
is the Dr. Evil line. Yeah. Can I get a freaking dinosaur with a laser?
Sin and Punishment for the Nintendo 64. Skeleton Crew for the Genesis. Skull Monkeys for the original PlayStation. Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo.
Skull Monkeys is that
Claymation.
Yeah, Claymation. Okay, cool.
Wendy Every Which Way, which was a Game Boy Color game that is based
Is that a porn game?
No. No. It's on the Game Boy Color. It's Wendy from Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Wendy Every Which Way?
Yes, witch is spelled like the witch that she is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like what is that game? VVV, where you're like reversing gravity.
Okay.
And then the last one is like a Wikipedia challenge where I've made a bunch of categories and you have to get to each of those pages through just your Wikipedia hyperlinks.
Okay.
So those are the games. So looking forward to hearing me talk about those games in April.
So are all these games ones that you've played before?
No.
Okay.
I think the only ones that I've played before, I don't know if I've beaten any of these games.
I mean, you mentioned those Mac ones that you had
Yeah,
played.
I mean, I've played those. I played those with my cousin growing up. I've played some of Luigi's Mansion, but I've never beaten it. But I think this is one of the first years where I have not beaten any of the games that were on the list.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
There were a couple that got knocked off the list. One of them was Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins from the Game Boy. I've beaten that one before, but that one, like I said, that one got knocked off for a different game. And so, yeah, like I said, I think this is the first year that I haven't beaten any of the games in the past, but just have some either surface level experience with, or they just looked cool. So they could be terrible. Who knows? It's very possible.
Luigi's Mansion is a really great game.
Yeah.
I bought that game at launch, and I remember really liking that game, and then people just being horribly disappointed, and like the internet just blew up. Like, what is this trash? We wanted the sequel to Mario 64, and just being like, no, this game is amazing. This is like really cool for its time. It's short, so I get that as a criticism, but like for its time, that game was really cool. And I feel like people have gone back and like appreciate it more.
I think
now,
so,
in
especially
hindsight.
now with the sequels as well. Yeah. But I think that is considered to be one of those GameCube classics at this point.
For sure.
Cool. Well, let me ask you one other question that's big this time of year for you. What did you think of the pay-per-view?
Oh, the Elimination Chamber.
More importantly, what do you think of Danhausen?
I only saw the clip. Well, I saw the debut, which was underwhelming, I guess. People were not thrilled. But his segment on Raw the following day, or I guess on Monday.
His demands.
Yes, exactly. His Demandhausens. That was a good moment, and I think it like, okay, we're getting a little bit more of an introduction to this character. I think that was maybe one of the missteps of the introduction during Elimination Chamber, is the fact that he didn't like speak at all.
Right.
And like, he is meant to be this like silly comedy character, and so if you just see him, you're like, what the heck is this? Like, it looks off. And I think with where WWE is now, it feels like this is like a 90s character wrestler.
It feels very doink.
Yeah, and so like I said, I think there's the fact that like he was able to have a little bit of a moment on Raw helps in terms of like, if WWE fans aren't familiar with who he is, that helped, I think.
Yeah, I think the fact that he feels like nothing else in Raw and WWE right now, like that's part of the appeal to me. Like, and I was already familiar with him a little bit, you know, from AEW, and then also like he was on Giant Bomb for a while.
Oh, cool.
But like I feel like bringing in somebody that just feels so distinctly different, is really like kind of, I feel like, okay, yeah, you kind of need that.
Yeah, and so this will be interesting because these are the characters that WWE feels like they have struggled a lot with over the last, I mean, everybody outside of The Undertaker, really, it feels like sometimes, that it feels like this could either be great or he just kind of fades into obscurity because they don't know how to use him. But I think one of the things that helps is the fact that this is, right, like this is his character going back to like the indies. Like he has a vision for this character that I think will also help. You know, it's the reason why like Bray Wyatt, when they let Bray Wyatt be in charge of like that direction, that was Bray Wyatt at his best. But I don't know if like the people in the writer's room who are like more distant from some of those, like where the character is so important, sometimes I don't know if they write those characters very well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But otherwise, I thought Elimination Chamber was good. I don't think there were no surprises in terms of like who won the matches, which is fine. I get it, right? Like this is their last big one before WrestleMania, and like
this is the setup.
Yeah,
for WrestleMania,
and it's like these are our stars. We're gonna put them in the main event of WrestleMania, which makes sense. So I thought it was fine.
Cool. All right, is that it?
That's it.
All right, so this week the main thing I've done is play a lot of the Steam Next Fest demos. So that was Croak, which we already talked about. The other ones I played, so I played Densha Attack, which we'll talk a little bit more about Nintendo's Indie World showcase. So Densha Attack is the most Dreamcast game to come out in the last few years. It is set in a future Japan where you are a train driver, and the train tracks in Japan are like you're driving your train down them, and there might be something in the middle of the track, and so you need to leap your train over it, or you need to leap to a different track, or you may need to leap over something, and then there's a cliff that you're going to collide with, and so you need to slam your train down onto the ground quickly, or back onto the tracks, let me say. And then when you approach corners, you are going too fast, so you need to drift your train around the corners by hitting the brake, but you need to then release the brake right in the sweet spot, so you get a burst of speed coming out of the corner. So lots of different sort of techniques, different things that you can do. It looks amazing. It has that bright, super colorful Dreamcast game look. Looks a little like maybe a jet grind radio in that that sort of style, though not as quite as a flat shaded, cell animated look as that. But it's just a whole lot of fun to play, and it's the sort of weird game that we don't get nearly as much anymore. Like when I talk about the Dreamcast, I always say like that was a golden era for, hey, we're just going to throw random stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And so we don't get this from big publishers anymore. We get this from little indie studios, and this is a really cool one of those, at least what I played of the demo, which is basically like one level that you go through. But really neat. You can actually like start learning to do tricks, and so then you're using the right stick in order to like make it do ollies and flips and everything in the air. It just a neat little game. So like I went from 0 to 100% interest, both seeing this game and then playing it. So Densha Attack, I would strongly recommend. There is the demo out on Steam currently.
Yeah, I know last week we had talked about when that was supposed to end, I think this Monday, but I've seen a lot of those demos are still available. So yeah,
some will leave them up, and sometimes they take them down. So it just varies from game to game. Another one I played was Wild Blue Skies. So Wild Blue Skies is a Star Fox clone.
I was about to say, like, I'm looking at pictures right now, and yeah, it's a fox flying a aircraft and somewhat.
Yes, it is animals flying futuristic aircraft. The like level that is in the demo has tires that are collapsing and falling, and you have to dodge under or around them and everything. So very much that first level from Star Fox 64, the Canaria level. Yeah. And so I feel like several games have tried this in the last few years to do a sort of modern Star Fox, because apparently Nintendo's not going to give us one. So they're just going to go make their own. This feels like the best. It feels like the most polished of these. I would say the biggest negative is maybe the boss is too much of a bullet sponge. You're just shooting it way too much. It's not terrible, but it feels like there needs to be some more balancing there. You definitely have to pick up the power-ups as you go through the level. And I think I saw some footage of someone playing it, and they were not picking those up, so that made it even that much more challenging by the time they got to the boss. Right. But I liked it a lot. I think that first level of Star Fox is really easy to copy, and just sort of like Star Fox itself, it's difficult as you progress through Star Fox to keep it as exciting and as interesting as that first level. And so I'll be interested to see how this game manages with that. But I am always up for a new Star Fox. And so this seems like a...
Are the other, because I'm looking at a picture of like the characters sitting around like eating soup dumplings. Yeah. So it looks like a fox, a cow, like an iguana or some sort of lizard, and a deer. Yeah. Are they as like... One of my favorite things to start... I mean, granted, I got Star Fox when I was like 5th grade, I think. Yeah. And so I really loved the characters. Like, are they as big and interactive, or did you not get to see a whole lot of that?
So there's a sort of an intro cinematic where they're talking and everything to one another. And then during the level, they will talk a little, but it doesn't seem as much as like what you're used to with like Falco and them talking. But again, it's a demo. Yeah. So maybe it's just not in there. I mean, it does have the Star Fox thing of help me. Yeah. Like somebody's on my tail and you have to shoot the ship.
That was usually Slippy.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know. You're right. That was such a key part of the cinematic feel of that game, right? Like having your wingmates like jump in and say things to you.
Yeah. Yeah, my cousin
do a barrel roll. Right?
I was about to say my cousin and I still like, I don't know, it's if we're just checking in on each other, we'll text each other, do a barrel roll. And yeah.
I'm driving. Yeah. Okay, you said so. But yeah, this is neat. And I'm, again, like Densha Attack, very excited to play the final game from this demo. Let's see. The last thing that I played was Sledding Game. And Sledding Game is a friend slop game. You probably could not guess that from the title. And you are at a ski resort. And so you load into the game. You're at the bottom of the mountain. You can jump onto a ski lift to take you up the mountain. Actually, there's multiple ski lifts. Or you can jump in a cannon, and the cannon will fire you up the mountain. And then you hop onto a sled, and you can slide down the mountain. So, like, there are starting gates at each course down the mountain. And you sort of queue in those starting gates, and then you're racing against everyone who queued up with you. So, like, that's all pretty neat, and there's stuff to do when you're up on the mountain and everything. But then there's just, like, a whole lot of other stuff to do in this game. And so I think, Mario, you and I were talking about one of the issues with these friend slop games is there enough to actually do in the game, or am I basically paying for individual mini games? Mm-hmm. This game feels more like they've taken that logical next step of let's just pack this full of mini games. So there's the racing, right, that you can do, but then there's like you'll find fishing holes and you can set down fish out of them. If you get down to the bottom, there is a ski chalet, and you can go inside of it. And then there's like different games. There's like a dart game that you can play. You can go outside, and they have cornhole or bags for you Illinois people.
Can you in the chalet just get like a hot cocoa and sit by a fire?
Yes,
let's go, huge.
And but the thing that you'll be most interested in is. Well, what was your favorite Olympic sport?
Oh, curling.
There is a curling game in this.
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna have to get this game.
So it doesn't, like you're like throwing your, I don't know, what are they called?
Stones.
Stones. Yeah. You're throwing the stone down, and it feels like it still has some work to go, particularly with the mini games. Mm-hmm. But like this feels like they are thinking of, hey, we want to build sort of a environment for lots of different experiences. We want to build a sort of hangout game, mm-hmm. right? More so than like some of the friend slop games that we've talked about and looked at and everything that are very good, but like are much more, much more like, okay, you do this one thing. And this one feels more like, hey, why don't we meet up? Feels more like a VR chat sort of thing. Like, cool. Let's a bunch of us meet up here. We're going to hang out. You can build snowmen. You can like roll up snow and build a snowman using it. So this feels much more like, hey, we want you to log on to this, hang out with a group of friends. 2 or 3 you may go over here and do this. 2 or 3 you may go over here and do this. But like this will just be a sort of entertainment venue, mm-hmm. That's really cool. Which I think is exactly what we were kind of talking about with these friend slop games. Like, what is the evolution of this? And this feels like maybe not the evolution, but at least an attempt at that evolution.
Sure.
So I think it's pretty neat. And I think, it's going to depend pretty heavy, like where the pricing on this comes in, because certainly no single game out of this is probably worth the price alone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, it is the sort of game I could see selling for $10 to $15. And, depending if you have a group of friends to do it with, could completely be worthwhile.
For sure.
Yeah, that was it. There's a couple of others, but I think I'll save those and talk about them next podcast. So let's get into the news, and we kind of already hinted at the Nintendo Indie World that they had yesterday. So this was Nintendo showcasing some of the new indie games coming out for Switch and Switch 2. We're not going to talk about these super in depth, but we're just going to kind of run through them and maybe call out a few of these. So they did, as noted, announce Densha Attack. That is coming out June 17th. I assume that's the release date everywhere, so not just Switch, but Steam and other places. They showed off My Little Puppy, which I feel like has been shown before at a show. So this is a game where you play as a puppy who has died, and now your owner has died, and you have to find your owner in heaven. So it's basically that Robin Williams film.
Oh, no. What Dreams May Come?
What Dreams May Come. Yeah, it's basically What Dreams May Come, except you're a dog trying to find your owner. And it looks super cute, but it also looks like one of those games that's going to make you cry at some point.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't mind crying at like other things, but I'm the puppy.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think they smartly said it after the puppy has already died,
that's good.
right? Like you, the person, is the new one, newly deceased.
Go ahead, sorry.
But I also think like there's no way to do a game about a puppy and their owner being reunited in heaven without it bringing some tears for a lot of people.
So during this break, I rewatched. My partner wanted to watch Oliver and Company, and after the first few minutes, the kitty cat in the box and in the water, and I was like, "Who wants to watch this? Who?" Ugh.
I used to use that opening scene when they're doing the Huey Lewis song, right? Once Upon a Time, New York City. I used to use that in film class. And talk about like how you establish a character, like all the stuff you learn about Oliver from just that scene, right? Like that he's happy for his brothers and sisters as they're getting adopted, and like his fear and like all this. And I'm like, they don't say a word. There's no dialogue, and they establish all of that. You like this character in that first 3 minutes of the film,
Right.
Like it's really kind of extraordinarily well done,
For sure. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking when you're talking about it, but I will still maybe watch it.
it looks
It
looks really cute. You know, I hope it's not too manipulative with that stuff. You're setting a game with a dog in heaven, like don't just, you know, turn the knife too much on your audience. Let's see. They announced Heave Ho 2, which I think this is the first we've heard of this. That's coming out this summer. Heave Ho is one of those couch cooperative competitive / games. I really like the original. This looks like they're taking that original and adding a whole bunch of new levels, doing some sort of unique stuff with it. Like one of the things they showed was piloting a spaceship. Using those Heave Ho mechanics. So it looks really neat. It looks like the sort of game that we would be playing a lot of at Playing for Pets. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, that is coming out sometime this year. That looked neat, but you know, not a whole lot to say about it. Voodoo, which is coming out this summer. Minishoot Adventures, which shadow dropped yesterday. So that had apparently not been on consoles prior to this, which that game, you know, that's been 2 years ago.
That's a great Switch game.
Yeah.
There will be a great Switch game. Like that seems like the perfect console for it.
Yeah. So if you don't know Minishoot Adventures, one of our top 10 games of the year 2 years ago, that is a Zelda using a twin stick shooter. And it is a really fun game, really easy to pick up and play. Like you pick that game up and in the first like 3 minutes, you already completely understand that game. So yeah, I agree. That's a fantastic game for a handheld console like the Switch. The Midnight Walk, that is coming out March 26th. That is that horror game where you a lot of stealth involved in it.
It's the stop motion.
Yeah.
Claymation. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks sort of like a Tim Burton sort of creation.
Yeah.
I did not play that, but that is very well liked.
I've watched other people play it. It looks really cool.
Rotwood also dropped yesterday. Mixtape, they showed off a new trailer for, and I guess this is the first official release date we've had for it. That's coming out May 7th. Mixtape is that game that's about being a teenager in the 80s. that has a really kind of cool new wave punk sort of soundtrack attached to it. I still think that game looks really neat. I just don't know. I don't know how much substance there's going to be to that game, because it looks like a whole lot of different kind of like mini games. Like there's part of it where you're toilet papering a house. And so like that's neat, but like, is it going to just be mini game to mini game to mini game?
Right.
I'm expecting Life is Strange-esque. It's like you're pretty narrative heavy, and the game is kind of you going around and doing these, general ne'er-do-well activities.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I think, the vibe they're going for, right? They are definitely going for that.
Doing shenanigans.
Yes, shenanigans.
80s shenanigans.
But like Life is Strange is that vibe they're going for. They
Yeah.
want that audience.
Yeah.
Very much. So much so that like when I first saw this game, I was like, oh, is this a new Life is Strange game? But anyways, I continue to be like excited for that game. Blighted is coming out this fall. Dead Zone Rogue is March 17th. Grave Seasons is this summer. Grave Seasons, I forget which one is which. There was one of these that was basically a Stardew Valley, but
Yes.
goth.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Stardew Valley, but goth, like, is such a distinct audience, and I love that somebody went and made it. And I actually have a friend whose daughter is sort of gothy, and so I need to send that game to her because her daughter really likes Stardew Valley. So, but that's cool. I feel like at this point, if you're going to make one of those farming simulators, you got to really have a gimmick to it, right? You got to have a hook. It can't just be another one of those. Unrailed 2, Back on Track, is coming in August. That's the sort of multiplayer game where you are sort of clearing and building train tracks for a train as it's running. So that's neat to see them doing a new one of those. Toem 2 is coming out this summer. That's a sort of three-quarter perspective overhead view little adventure game. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Incombini. That's coming out April 30th. Outbound, April 23rd. Ratatan is July 16th. And then the last announcement of the entire show was they shadow dropped Blueprints. So Blueprints, one of our top 5 games of last year, I think, for our collective list. That is now out on Switch. Again, that feels like a really good game on Switch because it's the sort of game you pick up and play, like, one run through it and everything.
If you take a train or a bus or something like that.
Yeah. So if you have not played that game previously, it's really cool. Pick that game up, check it out. Again, portable format makes a whole lot of sense for that style of game. So nothing too earth-shattering here, but I think what you continue to see is a lot of games that have been previously announced or a lot of games that have already been released are now finally hitting the Switch after Nintendo seemed to like kind of not let anybody be on the Switch in the first year. And now we're starting to see that flood of indie games because indie games sell so well on the Switch platform. And so, if you are the makers of Minishoot Adventures, you want to be on the Switch because that is the place where you will sell a ton of copies. Let's see. So that was one part of the Nintendo news for this week. The other big news was Pokemon Day was last Friday. We kind of talked about preview of that last episode, but kind of a roundup of all the news that came out of that. Pokemon Champions on Switch is coming in April. So that's the first release date we've heard for that game. It will come to mobile devices later this year sometime. So, yay. Pokemon Champions.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that this was the big announcement that I was anticipating for this show. And I think that this is I mean, I'm not a big competitive Pokemon person, but I know that this is one that, I guess I know I said it last week. This is the one that it feels like they have to get this right.
Because they're kind of pitching this as like their new main way to battle all your Pokemon you've collected from different games via home.
This is the platform they're going to use for like the World Championships from now on, rather than just whatever the like most recent release is. And so, like I said, it's significant for that reason, but it's also significant. Like this is, from what I understand, a free game, and so it will potentially like entice people to maybe get into like competitive Pokemon as well. I think the question, I mean, I have to imagine there will be some amount of microtransactions. My big question will be, how easy is it to get into? Like, do I have to have already collected a bunch of Mons? I think that that's going to be like, what are the initial stepping stones, the onboarding, I guess. If that is easy, I think this game will be fantastic, like for the Pokemon Company. If that's really hard, you're only going to get the most hardcore people who were going to play it anyways.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that'll be interesting. Like, who is this product for? Right? Like, Pokemon generally has been, I feel like, a very welcoming product, right?
Yeah.
It's made for kids.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that disparagingly, like, but it's a product made for kids that adults who grew up playing it are still very much into. And I think when you look at a product like this, like, well, is this for those people who just like have nostalgia and like love the little different designs? Is it for them? Or is this only going to be for the super competitive people? Because my impression is that's a very small subset of the Pokemon market.
From what I understand,
like Pokemon Go is very good at
Sure.
like reaching out to a very wide audience.
From what I understand, and I could be wrong, but this is how I understood it at least, they're removing certain aspects that make competitive really hard to get into. So there are like these hidden stats in Pokemon, IVs, and the EVs, I guess. And from what I understand, they're...
Hey, I know Eevee.
Yeah.
That's the deer.
Yeah.
Wait, is she?
No.
Is she a deer? Oh, I was about.
not a deer.
She's like.
A dog.
Okay. Oh, is she a dog?
Yeah.
She looks like a squirrel.
But from what I understand, they're removing IVs, which should help with a lot of that. Like, that is always the hardest part. Like, that's the thing where people are like spending hours breeding the right Pokemon in order to get these statistics to be as perfect as possible. And so, and Pokemon has already made that a little bit easier in the, well, I don't know about Scarlet and Violet, but for the previous game, they made like an island where you could just like go get the perfect Ditto, because that's always the breeding Pokemon. And so like they've made it easier and easier.
Breeding Pokemon.
I mean, basically that's what people use it for.
Right. No.
Like I said, they've added a lot of quality of life, and I think this is just another step that's like, if we can get people more into this.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you can get those people who have casually played Pokemon Go, right, to bring over those Pokemon and, you know, play them in this environment.
Sure.
I think that might work. I just don't know. You know, like, this feels like the sort of thing that would be really popular in like elementary and middle schools. Right? Like elementary school kids who are into Pokemon, probably elementary school kids won't have smartphones, but like maybe middle and high school kids, right? Sure. Like who can sit at lunch and battle their Pokemon against each other.
Well, that I think the perfect comparison is the Pokemon TCG Pocket. Right? Yeah. They made getting into that super easy. And so if they can do something similar for this, it'll have widespread appeal. And I'll tell you right now, like, I'm not going to play this game personally, but I think that if they get it right, it could be very big for them.
All right. They announced Pokemon Game Music Collection, which is a mini Game Boy and 45 carts
It's crazy.
For $70, and each one of the carts plays a specific Pokemon tune. So it's basically like a portable MP3 player that you have to swap out the carts to play each song.
Pokemon said, "Hey, you remember a Walkman? What if it only played Pokemon songs?"
Well, like the thing I thought of was, do you remember Hit Clips?
Hit Clips, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought if I dropped Hit Clips, people were like, what the hell is a Hit Clips?
No, I had those. I fucking love those.
Which Hit Clips were like, it wasn't even the full song. It was like 30 seconds or something of a song, like basically the chorus. And like you were swapping those in and out of a little mini music player, which I never really understood why that over a Walkman or a Discman.
Yeah.
Other than it was very much aimed at little kids, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Pokemon's people said, you want physical media? Here you go, 45 cartridges.
which I just think like, okay, I think even a Pokemon MP3 player shaped like a Game Boy is sort of like, it's about the third the size of an original Game Boy. I even think that's kind of goofy, right? Like I don't really get it. It's like a kitschy sort of thing. But that I would understand. Like maybe you just really like Pokemon music and you could take this thing with you.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to have to carry 45 carts around and swap them out, like it becomes something that
it makes me think of like, so one of Leah's niece and nephew got one of those, what are they called, like a Tony or something? It's like a box that you can put these different characters on top of, and each character starts up the theme song for stuff. It has like a little podcast on it. So like
we need one of those.
It was really
Put a little
cool.
mini Mario on it.
Yeah, it had
Dress up our podcast.
the one that I thought was the coolest was like her niece is really, really into Spider-Man, the new one, like little kid one.
Yeah.
That the theme song is Fall Out Boy. And so she put that on and I was like, wait, something from my past is calling. And so it feels like one of those things because like you have the box, which isn't like super small or anything, but it could travel.
Right.
But then you have all of the, like they brought out a bucket of characters.
Yeah.
That
Backpack full of cartridges.
exactly. And so it feels
It's like the Skylanders.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You can buy all the individual characters.
Exactly. And so I wonder if like that's kind of the idea behind this, is it's more for like, well just
no,
like with Hit Clip. Oh,
It's a complete package. You get the
Oh.
45
all
carts
of
with
them
it.
With
Oh.
yeah. It's not like you got to buy a gotcha in
Oh.
order to.
But I agree. I thought when I first saw this and they showed, here's 45 different cartridges, I thought it was going to be exactly
blind
that, like
boxes or
blind
something, yeah.
boxes.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
you were going to be, hey, we're going to be selling these at Barnes and Noble, and you go in and you buy them, and like, hey, maybe you get the battle theme, maybe you get this. And I thought, that's insidious.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's going to work.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Because there are people that like have like a gambling enough mentality, but don't like to admit it to themselves that the blind box stuff every time it's just they're like, give me my dopamine.
And let's hook the kids when they're young.
Well, and that's the thing that I think it's the 45 cartridges that makes. I mean, like I probably wouldn't have gotten this either way, but like if it were one cartridge and you could like go through all of the songs,
Yeah.
that would make sense because then Nintendo could just put all of their games. They could do that with all of them, right? Here's the Super Mario Land cartridge.
Right.
Here's, I don't know, the Metroid cartridge. And so, like, here's all of the songs. And
What
you
they're
could-
doing with the Nintendo Music app
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, essentially a physical version of that Nintendo Music app. That would make sense. But if I've got to have 45 cartridges for the Pokemon songs, it was just the most wild announcement I could imagine.
Because even that idea, right? Like they could sell a Pokemon Red and Blue cartridge.
Sure.
Like split those 45 between the two of those and sell two separate carts to you.
Yeah.
Right? And sell a Pokemon Yellow card eventually.
Sure.
And, this is such a weird thing because I feel like it's being targeted. Like this isn't for little kids. This feels like it's for collectors.
This is a collector's item, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, who would want this? Like, it's the sort of thing that
A rant, maybe you get it as for like a kid that loves Pokemon as like, I don't know, a Christmas gift, but that still feels odd.
you're going to be finding those carts all over your house.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a couple people that I went to high school with that probably still live in a basement somewhere that would pick it up. But that's all I can think.
But those are the people who are buying the $150 collector's editions of games and have the statues all around, like, which is fine. But like, I don't think it's not a mass market item.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that if you were selling like individual game soundtracks, right? Like that might actually be something people would buy into.
Yeah. That's a cute little thing that I could see somebody being like, oh, you know what? That might be fun to have.
You could have a Zelda one.
Yeah.
You could have, that would,
Yeah, that to me would make sense. Mm-hmm. Make more sense at least.
Yeah, because that's the sort of thing I could see. Okay, it's a portable MP3 player. We'll also sell a dock, and so the dock's going to look like a Super Nintendo or something, and you set it on that, and that's connected to speakers.
I was just saying it, speakers,
And so, I don't know that that's something I would get into, but I could see that.
Selling.
Yeah.
So Nintendo, call us. We have good ideas for your shitty items.
Well, I feel like we have better ideas, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're good. Let's see. The big news out of this was they did announce the 10th generation of Pokemon. This is Pokemon Winds and Waves. And they also announced a release date of 2027. So it is not Nintendo's big fall release this year. It's probably spring of next year, but like we don't know. Just 2027 sometime.
Yeah, I know when we talked last week, I was like pretty set that I was like, there's no way they announced the new generation. And I guess as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, there's no way they announced the new generation for this year.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's next year, one, I think is a fantastic idea for Pokemon and Nintendo of like actually giving them the additional time to like develop it and work on it and get all the bugs and all that kind of stuff.
But keep the hype or keep people from saying, when is this coming out?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Right.
So that was seeing 2027 come on the screen was very welcome news. I know there were a lot of people that were upset by that, but I think in the end they will be grateful that they just had to wait however many more months for it.
Well, and
Hopefully a more polished product.
we'll talk in a minute about one reason they might not mind that wait so much, which was a little unexpected, I think, to a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, I saw that game, and I think the biggest takeaway I had from it was, one, it is very beachy, right? So I know they did that with that. That animated series where it was like Pokemon Resort or something. And so I thought that was neat as a like sort of differentiation for the look of the game, obviously with the name of it and everything. Beach blanket Pokemon like has a nice like vibe to it. But the other thing was, this game looks significantly better, right? Which is the big criticism that the last few Switch Pokemon releases have had, that the games kind of look bad.
Yeah, we'll see if that's like actually what the gameplay looks like, or if these are like rendered cutscenes for this one announcement. But so I'm a little hesitant, but I'll also be honest, I don't really care like what they look like.
Well, I mean, but at some point, right? Like at some point, I feel like the Pokemon games have been impeded by their graphical performance.
Sure.
Like they look bad, then they ran poorly.
Sure.
Right.
I guess I'll put it this way. I've never been one like, I don't need a realistic looking Pokemon
Sure,
game.
sure.
If it runs smoothly, that's really all I want to see.
No, I mean, I think, I think the ideal Pokemon style is something akin to the Wind Waker, like that sort of almost cartoonish look to it, right? Like you don't want hyper realistic Pikachu. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I think it certainly makes it more inviting, and I would say that a lot of that certainly looked rendered in engine. So it might have been cutscenes, but it was being rendered in engine because like the water effects and stuff looked very much like, not pre-rendered for a game. So I don't know. We did get also, besides the release date, we got the announcement of the new starters. We have Pombon, which is a fire dog.
Looks like a Pomeranian.
Pomeranian with a pompadour, which is that fucking dog's amazing. We have Gekwa, which is a water lizard, and Brout, which is a grass bird. So, Christina, who are you picking as your starter?
Oh, Pombon. Oh, I don't know. Gekwa also looks really cute, but the dog, yeah.
Mario?
Brout.
Yeah.
Any particular reason for Brout?
Just look at him.
I mean, he does.
He's an angry bird, man.
It looks really like one of the Angry Birds. Like, it looks like one of the Angry Birds wandered into the wrong game.
I don't know. Man, I keep looking at Gekwa. I don't know. It would be a hard decision for me. I also tend to do water stuff when the few times I've played Pokemon.
I don't know. The Pomeranian with a pompadour, like the moment I saw that thing, I was like, oh, that's good for you. This is like one of the most clever things you've done in a while, Pokemon. That little beast. That's probably who I would pick. But, we'll see how things develop with that game. I sort of feel like, given all the water and everything, maybe you do want the water Pokemon. Like, I wonder how much.
Oh, no, I think you'd want the grass Pokemon.
Yeah.
The grass is strong against water.
Okay. We'll see.
That's not why I want Brout, but I'm Pokemon
You
logic.
want him because of that face.
You just like saying Brout.
Brout, I mean, it's the best of the
Brout.
three, honestly, and it's not close.
Brout's probably a Brad, so this makes it.
Well, that's fine.
That's all right.
I mentioned that people may not be too upset waiting for this game. And the reason why is Pokemon Pokopia, which releases tomorrow as we're recording this, is currently the highest rated Pokemon game ever on Metacritic. That's not Pokemon spinoff. That's mainline Pokemon games included. The highest rated game ever in the series history.
It's got like an 88 or something like that, which is like, that's okay. You're like getting into really good game territory.
Yeah, I mean, 88 is difficult territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if something gets into the 90s, Mugenics, I think, was in the 90s, or maybe it's dropped to the high 80s now. But, like, people are already talking about you in terms of game of the year.
Yeah.
And for a Pokemon game to score that high, I think it kind of caught me off guard that it was the highest rated ever. Mm-hmm. Because I thought, well, surely one of these Pokemon, like one of the Game Boy Advance ones or something, has like entered that territory before. But
yeah, I would have expected the Gen 2 remakes on the DS, Soul Silver and Heart Gold. Those are usually, I think those are pretty widely considered to be the best Pokemon games.
Though those might have been hurt by the fact they were remakes. Sometimes
Maybe
people penalize them. But yeah, so Pokemon Pokopia, people are talking about like, that game is really kind of amazing and like kind of blew everyone's expectations away of, when I remember when it was first announced, we all kind of looked at it and were like, yeah, it looks like they're ripping off Minecraft, but it's surely not going to be as developed as that. And early reviews have said, no, there's like 100 hours into this game. People are still discovering new things.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know if I'll get the game, but it has me a lot more interested. I'll probably go watch somebody play it.
Yeah. I think I went from zero interest to like a significant amount of interest. This is exactly
Justin's first Pokemon game, Pokemon Pokopia.
It's not my first Pokemon game. I played, what was it? Let's Go Pikachu is the last one I played. I played
Pokemon Red. That's the last one.
Well, I mean, look, my first Pokemon game was Yellow.
Okay.
The forgotten Pokemon game. But I have not played every generation since then. But I did play, Let's Go Pikachu, which is basically a remake of Yellow. So
yeah.
I like the Snap game.
Yeah.
Did you play the new one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it?
I liked it, but those are more my kind of Pokemon games. It's just not really Pokemon, but has the characters because
Right.
they're cute.
I like Let's Go Pikachu.
I do too.
I thought that was a decent remake.
Oh wait, what's the one that came with the little mic that you could
Hey
talk?
You Pikachu.
Hey You Pikachu. That's
It is understandable to get all the titles
It
confused.
just those sound very similar
Yeah.
to me.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, I went from zero interest to having interest in this game.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think this is a reason why reviews still matter,
Yeah, absolutely.
because this is exactly the sort of game where I would, without glowing reviews, I would have zero interest in it.
Yeah. No, it sounds like this is a big win for Pokemon.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see, like, you know, what sort of the chatter around this looks like in the next few weeks. Like, how are fans actually responding to it? The last bit of news that came out of this, something that we already knew was coming at some point, but they've now put an official date on it. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, the GameCube game, is coming to NSO sometime in March. They did not set an official date on that. So sometime in March, you're going to be able to play that if you have the expansion pass that includes GameCube games. And it's my understanding that game is pretty expensive and difficult to get now. So
Yeah.
that's exactly the sort of game that should be on online services, like freely, you know, easily available, not free available, though there are ways. So anyways, that's all the Pokemon news. Let's catch up on PlayStation. So this has been rumored. I think we might have mentioned it on last week's podcast, but PlayStation is, according to a new Bloomberg report, is stopping single-player ports to PC. They mention particularly Ghost of Yotei and Saros will not come to PC. And of course, the first Ghost game did come to PC, and of course, was it Returnal? Is that the previous Saros developer game? That also came to PC. So, you know, this isn't just like, hey, new properties aren't coming. It is even games in the same franchise. PlayStation is pulling away from that. They mentioned as part of this, they will continue with live service style games. So something like Helldivers 2 would still come to PC, but these single player games, your Spider-Man, your The Last of Us, those style games would no longer come to PC. Theoretically, that would also mean something like that God of War trilogy remake would not come to PC.
Yeah.
You know, I think, okay, so two sort of mindsets about this. One is this really sucks. I play a lot of those games on PC now, just because that's my primary place I'm playing games, that and, you know, my Steam Deck. So it kind of sucks from that perspective. I think a lot of people look at this and say, well, you know, exclusives don't matter that much anymore. Why wouldn't PlayStation do this? And I think you just need to look at what Xbox's strategy, what most people think their strategy is for the next Xbox. And the strategy seems to be, we are going to make a system where you can install multiple different storefronts. So yes, the Xbox storefront, but also Steam, also the Epic Games storefront. When you start thinking of it that way, your next Xbox will be able to play Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Miles Morales. It'll be able to play, you know, God of War, Ragnarok. It'll be able to play like the biggest franchises from PlayStation. And all of a sudden that starts to strike as, well, I don't need to buy maybe I don't need to buy a PlayStation. I'll just buy this Xbox and I can still play all the biggest exclusives on here.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that affects anything because you're still waiting over a year for those games to come out. Like
Right.
Sony has held pretty firm to that, you know, we're not going to do the day and date releases We're going to release these a year or more afterwards. Things like Astrobot have still never come. I don't know. How do you feel? Does this affect any way that you feel about it?
No, I was a little surprised just because it feels like that's been so successful for them. You know, I guess I just think in the sense of how many people are playing your games because they have a PC.
Right.
And they don't have a PlayStation 5. Is this actually, like, how many people does this actually encourage to now buy a PlayStation 5 versus how many just say, like, oh, well, I guess I'm never going to play that then?
Yep. Especially with, like, we keep talking about how consoles aren't getting cheaper. As a matter of fact, like, even though we're kind of late into this gen, PlayStation's prices keep rising. Yeah, I definitely see people just buying the next Xbox.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know how much. Right, I don't know how much this is going to affect people to the point where they'll say, "I will spend $500 to play Spider-Man 3."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, plus the $70 that game's going to cost. So you know, spending $600+ to play this game. I understand they want people to do that. I understand like that's beneficial to PlayStation as a company. But I feel like at some point when you're putting those games a year and a half, 2 years later onto the PC, all you're doing really is getting those people who are never going to buy a PlayStation. Like I bought Astrobot on my PlayStation because I really wanted to play that game right then and didn't want to wait. But, you know, if I didn't have a PlayStation, maybe I would have bought it 2 years later.
Yeah.
I could have poured it. Right. Let's see. High Guard has hit a low water mark as it is shutting down March 12th, just 6 weeks after launch. Here we go, another live service game. This hasn't quite been Concord's record of 2 weeks, but 6 weeks is pretty brutal for a game.
Yeah, it just seems like this is the other end of the spectrum, right? Like, if all of these games are trying to be Fortnite, you have to also realize that some of your games are going to be this.
Yeah.
And it's probably a hell of a lot more likely that your game is going to be this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, no game is going to be Fortnite. If your game could be Helldivers, right? Like, if that's the high water mark.
Right. Or The Division.
Sure. Right? Like, you consider that to be a massive success. There is that possibility. But there's clearly the possibility that it's dies less than 2 months into its lifespan.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets me with these live service games is when you whiff on one of these, you completely whiff. So like when Ubisoft, if they make a new Division, right, they will probably try to put more live service elements into that game, almost certainly. But if they still sell that game as a $60, $70 product, right, like they did the past two Divisions, then they're still getting sales off of that. And they're still like pleasing a certain amount of the audience. Maybe they're not growing it. Maybe it's slightly less than for the past two games. Maybe those people who buy it play it to the end and they don't continue with the live service elements and putting more money into the game, right? But they're getting something out of that. When you whiff with a game like this, you just get nothing.
Right.
Like they walk away, like whatever investment they put into this game. I know on Concord it was like $200 million or something rumored. Like that's $200 million just down the drain, and you don't walk away with anything. It's not like a movie at the box office that kind of bombs and only makes 70 million, where you're like, well, you know, at least everybody doesn't have to lose their job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Concord's sales were because that was still selling for $30 to $40, right?
Yeah, but they were giving refunds.
Oh, true. That you're right.
But yeah, I mean, like something like Helldivers, right? Like you are selling that at $40. You are recouping something out of that game. I think there's a reason Marathon is selling at $40 bucks,
Yeah.
right? They want to recoup something, even if that game doesn't perform.
Which it sounds like the player base kind of dropped off after that first week of the beta.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our thoughts go out to the developers.
Yeah, that sucks.
Hopefully they manage to land on their feet somehow, somewhere. Like that's the reality of this sort of project.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Red Octane, the developers behind Guitar Hero, announced they're returning with a new game called Stage Tour, which basically looks like Guitar Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Looks neat. I think they are teaming with Gibson to release peripherals for that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have their products in the game and guitar devices styled after Gibson guitars. So that's really neat. I think the big thing, whether this works or not, is what is the pipeline of content of songs,
Yeah.
right? Like, am I going to be able to get the greatest hits of AC/DC in this game, or is it going to be all like unknown artist? People. The original Guitar Hero and Rock Band turned a lot of young people onto music they weren't familiar with, but at this point, I feel like you have to have those major artists.
Yeah.
Or this feels like a product that just dies.
Mm-hmm.
Last story here for some good news. Life is Strange is going to be a series on Prime. It feels like everything's going to be a series on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the God of War show is also going. They have cast Maisie Stella and Tatum Grace Hopkins as the main characters, Chloe and Max, for that. Christina, you're a big Life is Strange fan. How do you feel about this casting?
I think the Tatum Grace. So I didn't really know Maisie Stella. Tatum Grace Hopkins, I think, is a good fit for the character. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Maisie Stella looks like Chloe. No, is that Chloe or is that Max? Chloe.
I believe she's Chloe.
Yeah. So they look like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited that they're coming out with this.
I think it's exciting. Like when you get to this point where you're actually casting people, means like we are about to produce this, right? Or we are going into production, which I think makes it more exciting than just when they announce, hey, we're going to make a movie or TV show of this. And you're like, that may never happen. Remember they were supposed to make a movie of Outrun. Like, where's that? Whereas this feels like, okay, we're to the casting stage. We're publicly announcing that this is something that's actually going to be real. And that's exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Life is Strange feels like the sort of product that should translate very well into a series.
It'll be good because it's like, it's one of those weird stories. And I think the people that's like their target audience likes also watching those weird stories. Like we'll play through those weird stories and we'll also watch them. So, and I think it'll translate well outside of a video game as well.
Because it's so cinematic to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah, and probably get a lot of that Stranger Things audience.
Yep.
I'm sure that's what they're
I was
hoping.
thinking Stranger Things, and honestly, like anyone who I've been telling folks that tell me that they like The Last of Us I've been telling them other video games to go because I'm like, people don't realize like that there are like movies that you can play through basically.
Right. Yeah.
And Life is Strange is one of those that I tell people a lot. And so I think, not because they're similar, but if you have enjoyed The Last of Us, you'd probably, at least I hope so, if they do a good job with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are very similar, and they're very cinematic, right? They very much feel like you're living a movie to a large degree. And Life is Strange is more accessible than something like The Last of Us,
For sure.
I think, for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, cool. Exciting news. All right, that leaves us with our big question. And last week we generated what we thought were a list of some of the best console names ever. So these aren't the best consoles, it's the best console names. So we have our list here. We are going to pick 5 of these that we think are the best and rank them. So I'll read through this list of our nominees real quick, and then if either of you have something you would like to suggest to add to this list, we can before we start cutting again. Sega Dreamcast, the Super Nintendo parentheses entertainment system to get its full, its God-given name in there. The Nintendo Switch, the SNK Neo Geo, the Magnavox Odyssey, the Mattel Intellivision. Man, that name, just the alliteration in that name is pretty fantastic. Sony PlayStation, Nintendo Game Boy, Nintendo DS, Nintendo GameCube, Sega Saturn, Atari Jaguar, as the car people say, and the Sony PlayStation Portable, or as it's more well known to you and me, PSP. PSP if you're nasty.
Yep. I think that was in the Sony ad, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they got Janet Jackson in it.
Yeah.
You know that ad would have worked well.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to add to this list before we continue?
I don't think so.
There's part of me that sort of wants to add the TurboGrafx 16.
TurboGrafx was the only one that I was like, that probably could have been.
Because that name is like the most terrible name, but that sort of makes it the best name.
Right.
Because it is the most 90s name ever for a console.
Yeah.
Well, it's the fact that it's spelled, like graphics is
With an
spelled
X.
GRAFX.
Yep. And the word turbo's in it. The most, that system technically comes out in the late 80s, but it's the most 90s. It's turbo. It's graphics with an X, and it's 16.
I think we add it to, it was especially because you left an extra dot here. It's like
That wasn't purposeful.
I don't know if it gets on my thing, but I like acknowledging it because I think you're right.
I love it because it can be on both the worst name list and the best name list.
Exactly.
Which is probably the only one of these that can straddle that.
I think the only other one that I had thought about was the Sega Genesis. But I think it's, I guess I would put that lower than other Sega consoles. And so that's where I was like, can't imagine we put multiple, at least try to, spread the love a little bit. But I do think that the Genesis as like your original console, I think is a really good name.
All right. Are there any on this list that we think are absolutely shoe-ins?
For me, the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I have.
Okay. I think we can all agree to that the Dreamcast is going to end up being on this list. So let's go ahead and star it for now. Anything else that you think?
I put PlayStation just because, again, that's another one that it's like an obvious what it is, and yet now it's almost like a Xerox, like to some degree. It's like it's become a stand-in for.
Yeah, I would agree with PlayStation.
I don't think it's number one, but...
Oh, I didn't even know if we're ranking these. Are we planning on ranking these?
Yeah, but we're just getting to 5 to start with. Yeah, so, okay, we've got 2 there. What would you cut? We need to start trimming down to get to 5.
I would cut the Saturn. I think of the 3 Segas, that one to me would be the lowest.
Yeah, I can see that. I would probably cut the PSP.
That was what I was just thinking.
Like, I like the PSP acronym, but I don't like its actual full name.
Sure.
I think there are a couple of other Nintendos that are higher than the Super Nintendo. I don't know, though. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Like, the Super Nintendo, I feel like for its time was just such a perfect name because it told you exactly what that was. You have the Nintendo. This is the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I feel like no follow-up console has ever had a better successive name. Like we get the PlayStation 2, we
Yeah.
get the Xbox 360. Nobody's ever hit that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it makes the list, but I would keep it on here for now.
Because like the two that I have kind of marked here as being potentially better is both the Game Boy and the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially the Game Boy. Like,
Yeah, I feel like Game Boy, I would almost be willing to put into like it should make it into our top 5.
I would say GameCube less than Game Boy. So
sure,
maybe we
for sure.
cut GameCube.
Sure.
I'd be fine. I think we could cut GameCube, and I would probably cut DS as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's probably not getting in over Game Boy.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. What does DS stand for?
Dual screen.
Oh.
I think technically it's one of those things that
It
didn't
doesn't
stand for anything
technically, but yeah.
But that's what people kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was its big selling point, right?
Gotcha.
I
really like Mattel and television too. I'd never heard of that before this list, and I think it's smart, but I don't know if it.
I think Intellivision is a really clever name in that you're almost making up a word. So it reminds me sort of of PlayStation, like you're creating a word, right? But it's a word that makes sense, right? It's intelligent television.
Yeah.
There's something like neat about that.
Yeah.
I think that for me puts it over the Odyssey, even though I really like the Odyssey
Same.
name.
Mm-hmm.
Can we cut Odyssey?
I'm good with that.
That's fine.
Okay. What? Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I would also probably, well, I think Justin can respond to this, probably cut the Neo Geo as well for our top 5 at least.
Yeah.
Because
I mean-
we've got 2 definites in right now, correct?
3.
Yeah.
I don't know
thought
if we
had 3.
agreed fully on Game Boy yet. Did we
Oh.
agree on Game Boy?
Oh, I don't know if we had agreed, but
Okay.
we had cut several around it.
Yeah, so I don't have a writing utensil. So what has been, does anybody have a spare one? That's okay if we don't. Or can I just borrow yours really quick?
The ones that we have for sure right now are the Dreamcast and PlayStation, and then Game Boy is a potential keep.
Yeah.
And then we have cut Odyssey, DS, GameCube, Saturn, PSP, and then I added TurboGrafx and then cut it, but it's fun.
It is fun. I mean, if we're gonna cut Neo Geo, like if TurboGrafx is still on the list,
Sure.
then I'm okay, because I think Neo Geo, again, it's one of those where it became like a synonymous name in video games. It really meant a lot at the time. But TurboGrafx 16 is like the most 90s console name ever.
I think we cut the Genesis as well.
Okay, because we have Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I really like the Jaguar as a console name because it's sort of goofy. It's like they had gotten into the habit of naming, Atari had, of naming all their consoles after cats. So we had the Lynx,
as well.
and then they had a few that were in development that never came out. So I like that aspect, mostly because it's so different from any other console name, but I don't think it hangs with the rest of these.
So we've got 4. We've got to pick 3 from 4.
Right. We have 7 left, so we really just need to cut 2 off this list.
Oh, sure. Well, I guess I'm thinking the 4 that we have are Super Nintendo, Nintendo Switch, Intellivision, and Game Boy. Do we have others remaining? Did I miss something?
TurboGrafx.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we had cut that one or not.
And that's my bad. I said we did, but we did not.
So we need to cut 2. I like Super Nintendo over Switch,
Okay.
but I understand the argument for Switch because Switch is like such a good name at like selling the whole concept of the console, right? Like more than anything else on this list, I feel like it sells the concept of the console itself. I am biased towards Super Nintendo.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that would be my pick, but
I was about to say, if we keep Super Nintendo, maybe then we cut Turbo Graphics, because they both kind of do the same thing of like Super versus Turbo.
well, how do we feel about Switch versus Super Nintendo?
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with either. It's one of those things that it's like, I think if all of these were to come out today, Super Nintendo feels a little lackluster, but like when we consider like
Context.
the simplicity of it in that context, I think goes a long way. So I'm fine with going Super Nintendo.
All right, so we need to cut one other. We currently have Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, Intellivision, PlayStation, Game Boy, and TurboGrafx. I think the big question probably is TurboGrafx actually a good name, or is it just a really good goof?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is one of those things where there's just like bias, and I'm holding some value towards what was actually on the consoles.
But that's not what it's not
I
best
know,
console.
but
It's best name for a
it's
console.
hard to. I feel like it's hard to put TurboGrafx over any of the other five.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Again, graphics being spelled with an F and an X is phenomenal, but
I mean, I think if we were doing what is the funniest console name,
Sure. Oh,
yeah, that would
it
win
probably
hands down.
wins.
Hands down.
I mean, Pippin might give it a good run, but okay, I'm fine with cutting that. All right, that leaves us with Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, Intellivision, PlayStation, and Game Boy. I think PlayStation is probably the weakest of these.
Yeah.
Which is not saying anything too negative, right? Like, so is that our 5?
yeah. I would, and then I might say it Super Nintendo at 4. Again, just for, I mean, maybe it's, again, a little, in the context, I understand it, but I think it
doesn't maybe hold up as well as some
very
others.
simple, which isn't a bad thing, but comparatively.
I really love Dreamcast.
I think Dreamcast might honestly be my number one.
Same.
Like, I think Dreamcast is a great name.
Okay, so what is third?
Intellivision.
Probably Intellivision. And then I think I put Game Boy at number 2.
Yeah.
All right, so is our top 5 Sony PlayStation at number 5, at number 4 Super Nintendo, at number 3 Mattel Intellivision, at number 2 Nintendo Game Boy, and at number 1 the Sega Dreamcast. We good with that?
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Those are our top 5 best console names ever. Maybe we will do the worst console names ever, because I feel like that TurboGrafx and Pippin, and like we really get into the 7800. Like, we start getting into some really
The Wii U.
Yes, the Wii U. Oh man, the Wii U with a bullet. See, I feel like TurboGrafx is unfair in that situation because
I like TurboGrafx. I don't think
Yeah.
it's that bad, to be honest with you.
well, it can't win that. Right? Because it's not bad enough,
No.
but it can't win best name because it's not actually good enough. It says in this no man's land, which is maybe appropriate for the TurboGrafx. All right, that does it for this week's episode. Thank you to Mario and Christina for joining me. Thank you to everyone listening. You can, as always, check out more of our content by going to salukigames.com. You can also help us out by liking and giving us a good rating on podcast apps, because that helps people find the podcast more. Obviously, share it on social media. That's also very much appreciated. If you have questions, comments, or big questions you would like to suggest to us, feedback about our list, maybe you want to tell us we went horribly, horribly wrong in some way. We did not include the Fairchild Channel F, which is obviously the best name for a console ever. No, it's not. That actually might be the worst console name ever. But anyways, if you want to give us any sort of feedback, you can email us by sending an email to justin.young@siu.edu. We will be off next week because next week is our spring break, so we will not be recording an episode. The week after that might run into your show, so I don't know, or at least prep and rehearsal.
I think we have a week in between.
We have a week in between, but I do think we have something planned for that Wednesday.
Okay, so we'll just have to see with that.
I think that's our first run through, like the tech run through.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're doing that on Wednesday.
That makes sense.
So we might do it on a different day, but we can't guarantee we'll have an episode that week. But anyways, we'll try to be back soon with another episode. Until then, take care of yourselves, play something fun, and we will talk to you soon.